Hey there guys, today is an exciting day. Today I'm going to be putting the concrete in the barn. And as you can see, I have my trusty little garden tractor back here, which is really just a lawnmower with a cart behind it. And I'm prepping today to get everything poured, and so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. Here's the stuff that I brought down. I've got just some plywood pieces that I've cut down. There's about 2-inch strips. I got some other little 1.5-inch strips, some screws, trusty drill, big tape measure, little tape measure, and then one of the things that I do buy at Harbor Freight is clamps. I buy a lot of clamps because they're cheap, and if they break, they're easy to replace, and they do the job. And so this is what I have here. Let me show you how we're going to attach all of this and the special apparatus that I've made. So what I have here is some 7-inch channel iron that a friend gave me, and we cut it down. And we took a piece and we welded a piece in the middle that is about the width of the post I'm going to be using. Maybe you can see that in there somewhat. And then what I've done here is, and there's a lot of welding by the way, to weld this all together. And then we took the plywood and clamped it to basically where level would be. And then this entire thing, the first 2 feet down here sits in the ground, and then a foot is above ground, and that's what the post goes in. And so this is just one heavy-duty post anchor to hold the posts. And some of you might say, well, that's overkill, but that's kind of how I build things a lot of the times, at least when it comes to structural things. And so after this gets more or less in the concrete, then those other smaller pieces you saw are going to get screwed onto the sides, and that's going to help me sort of level it back and forth, front to side. And so what I'm going to do right now is go around and do some prep work before the concrete truck gets here, and get all of these plywood pieces clamped onto all of the metal posts. By the way, you may have noticed I've got some of my winter gear on today, the coat and the hat. And the reason for that is because it's stinking cold this morning. It's 24 degrees when we woke up on this beautiful November morning. And here in southern Indiana, it never hardly gets much colder than that. And so this is the one real night of frost or freeze that we've had. And the rest of the week it's supposed to really warm up. And by this afternoon it's going to be mid-40s, which is still okay for pouring concrete. It's not going to freeze tonight, so we're going to be okay. I've actually had to delay this pouring concrete for about 3 weeks now, and so I'm really glad we're finally going to get this done. Had all kinds of rain delays, other work, scheduling issues, and so I'm looking forward to getting this done. And for you guys, this is going to be movie magic. It's probably another 5 hours, I'm going to say, until the concrete truck gets here, so I'm just going to make sure that we're good and prepared before it comes, and we'll be ready to go. Well, that gets all of the plywood clamped onto all of these post carriers, and so I want to show you what the next thing is that you're going to see when the concrete truck comes. A lot of this is going to be in fast motion, and I want to give you a little bit of insight into how I'm going to go about making sure all of these posts end up in the right spot. Here you see some rebar. I cut this rebar about 5 feet long, so probably about 3.5 feet at least is down into the ground, so it's nice and secure in there. And I've got me some string line, and on each one of these holes there is 2 pieces of rebar. One of these measures the width of the barn, and one of them measures the depth of the barn. And so what I'm going to do is basically string all of these tight, and that's going to give me my lines for where all the posts have to be. One of the things that I'm going to have to do with this line is mark the centers of all of the posts, and I can't do that, I feel, before the concrete is poured. I don't want to run the string around all of this and then pour the concrete, and the concrete somehow gets all over the string, which will happen, and then I lose all of my markings. And so what's going to happen is the concrete truck is going to come, and it's going to dump all the concrete, and then we're going to string everything, and then well, I'm starting to set some of the posts, the corners probably, that we know where those are supposed to go. My lovely wife, Miss Southern Indiana Sawmill, is going to come around, and we're gonna together mark where the centers are going to be on all of these. And so, you know, there's a plan in place. I have never dumped concrete like this before. I've mixed bags and dropped bags for smaller projects, but this will be, for me personally, the biggest project I've ever done. I didn't grow up in construction. I'm a woodworker by trade, and so we're not doing concrete stuff. And so we have a plan in place. I think we're fairly set up now and ready to go. As you see, I'm working totally alone here this morning. Miss Southern Indiana Sawmill is up at the house there, and she's homeschooling the kids this morning. But when the concrete truck comes, we're going to stop everything. You're probably going to see everyone down here and see all the little kids running around again. And then we're going to get to building this barn. And so again, we're just waiting for the truck now. Probably 4 hours, 4.5 hours from now, I would say, if they're on schedule. But I think we're about ready to go. Okay, so here comes the concrete truck. He's been mixing water in it to try to give us a little bit more time to work. And we're going to start going. Have time to work. Okay, so the concrete truck just left. Unfortunately, we did come up a little bit short, so he's got to make a very expensive trip to go back to pick up one more yard. The math showed that it should have all planned out, but I'm not sure why we came up short. Maybe some difference in sizes at the bottom of the holes and the forms. But anyhow, we're going to start setting all of these support posts in the concrete right now. We got everything stringed up, so we're going to get moving. I got this little level right here, and we're going to put that on the top of the post support. And then we're going to get that wood and we're going to try to level everything out, and that's the best I can do right now. So let's see how it goes. That's perfect. That's not ever going to go anywhere. So far, so good. All right, I'm just going to do a little bit of a walk through here and show you the progress. So you can see all of that metal post, all of that metal bracket, if you will, is down into that concrete, and there's just that 1 foot sticking out of the top. And so, show you the walk around here. The sun is going down, you can see my big old shadow. And there we are, all set in. Now this one was kind of interesting because the form wasn't all the way down in the ground. I had about 3 feet under it. These are deeper forms that I just kind of rebarred it in. And as we started pouring concrete, lo and behold, it started bubbling up from underneath. And so that was interesting. I had them stop on that one and come back with the second truck and fill that one up, and it went just fine. But you can see they're all in there. They all look pretty good. I'm not going to say that I'm a professional concrete worker by any stretch of the imagination. Every field has its own level of mastery, and I'm definitely not a master concrete worker. But it's going to serve its purpose quite well, I think. So I'm trying to think what I can say to really wrap up this video. This is the 4th part of this barn build, and I guess one of the things that comes to mind is that I'm kind of getting tired of showing you guys just digging holes and posts and stuff, but it reminds me that the foundation is often the hardest thing to do, whether it be in this barn or whether it be in life. And so having a firm foundation sure is important, and I think a lot of people need to hear that today, as we're just so easily carried away by every passing idea and every passing emotion that comes by. And I'm thankful that we're finally past this part of the barn build. Most of the work that I did on this, I used big equipment, skid steers, to dig the holes, and didn't have to mix the concrete. The truck came out. The hardest part for me was probably cutting the forms and getting everything leveled out. So it's not like this was a ridiculous amount of work, but I'm really glad that this part of it is over. because now we can get to the part where we're finally starting to put the posts in and where we're starting to see where this actually looks like a real barn. You know, a lot of times that's just the way it goes. You know, if you're a woodworker, a good amount of your work is actually in the prep, getting everything joined and planed and sanded, and really the assembly is not very much. You don't really see, for example, what a piece of furniture looks like until it's practically all the way built. It just looks like parts and pieces, and this barn is a lot like that too. You know, the foundation is so much work, but now we're going to really start to see what it's going to look like and what the shape that it's going to take as we continue to go. So I want to give you a little recap of what I'm going to be using to build the barn, so you sort of remind you what I'm going for here. These are the primary beams that are going to be used on the top of the barn. And what these are is 8 by 16 inches by 20 foot long Douglas fir beams. And these came out of a big warehouse, industrial warehouse down in Louisville, Kentucky. And these, I think, they came out of a complex that worked with tobacco. Me personally, not my favorite smell in the world. My first job was 13 years old working in a bowling alley, pre-smoking ban days, and so I've smelled enough nicotine and smoke and tobacco in my life. But the interesting thing is even now, even as old as this building was, out here in the open air, if the breeze blows, you can actually smell kind of that old tobacco smell. So that's kind of interesting. I will plan on taking these and cleaning these up on the Wood-Mizer a little bit. There's still some nails and stuff that I got to pull out of them. And I'm going to clean them up and make them look like new, so that they match the size of the posts. So let me show you the posts. Well, what these are is 8 by 8, kind of a combination of pine and Douglas fir beams, and most of these are 13 to 14 foot long. And so I'm going to have a nice tall barn. I'm already, because of the grade, I'm already about a foot to a foot and a half above the ground on the front of the barn. That's the big 20 foot wide open spans. And then these are going to be about 14 feet on top of that. Of course, I'll have to trim a little bit off to get them all level on the top once they're in there. But I'm going to have about a foot and a half from the ground, and then about probably 13 and a half to 14 foot above that. And then the posts are going to, the beams across the top are going to be about another 16 inches. And then you're going to have a rafter on top of that, because these big beams, a lot of them are going to get resawn into 2 by 8s to use as the rafting material on top of the barn. So that's going to be another 8 inches on top of that. And so that's going to be fun, putting all of that up there. There is one more thing that we have to do here to close up this video today. And it's a very special part of this build, and hopefully will be visible evidence of the strength of our family for many, many years to come. Well, there you have it. That's really so sweet. If you have enjoyed what you've seen, or this is one of the first times you've ever seen my channel or my videos, please go check out the page and please subscribe. You know, every YouTuber wants subscribers, including myself. Please go and hit the bell so you'll be notified of all the future videos. Thanks for watching, guys. God bless you.